Hey friends, this is a video from Ben for the stat class. What I have noticed is that there's a chapter on these graphical representations of data, chapter 2, that gives you lots of instructions for things you'll never do. Stuff like making a pie chart that you're going to get out a protractor and measure the angles on things. You're not going to do that. So I'm producing a quick video here where I show you how to do a bunch of this stuff on, on Sheets, because Sheets works very much like Excel. If you have Excel and you're just confident it's so much better than Sheets, or if you're an Apple person and you have what is it? Numbers, I think is the Apple spreadsheet. If you're convinced those are so much better, great. But the instructions are pretty much the same. It's just you have to find different menus. Okay, Sheets is free for everybody, so that's why I'm going to show you how to do this on Sheets. Okay, so without too much more ado, let me go over here to share screen, and I am going to take a look at this. So if you can see the tabs down at the bottom, what I have actually done is prepared a whole bunch of these different kinds of graphical representations, and in so doing, I've kind of figured out how to make things come together easily. So one of the things that's going to happen a lot here, and this blew my mind last night when I was putting this together, most of these are just automated. If you just highlight the right thing, Sheets just knows how to do it and do everything. So what you see on your screen is a pie chart, and it's got super neat things done like the labeling and stuff like that. But the reason that you use a pie chart is going to be for communicating information, where you have frequencies and categorical data. Okay, it's not going to be numerical data, but something like in this example, the what was it? The types of housing for students in a particular statistics class. Okay, so here's what you're going to do to produce this graph that I produced. I'm going to delete it, which seems very brave of me. But you have your categories listed down one side here, and you have your numbers listed down the other. If you go ahead and highlight this, and I'm going to include the title, you highlight this, and on Sheets, if you go to Insert, on Excel, it's also under the Insert menu, and we choose Chart. It may be named something different in Excel and numbers and stuff, but I tell it Chart, and it immediately goes and says, oh, you must want a bar chart. Okay, I don't want a bar chart, so I come over to the side where it says Chart Type, and I choose a pie chart. Bam, everything is done for me. It understood that apartment was connected to the number 20. And so on the pie chart, because that's the largest category, it gives that big wedge for apartment, and it labels it with apartment. And it even gives me the percentage out to the side. So pie charts are super easy to make. Nobody in their right mind ever does them by hand. Okay. I should probably take that back. I could see somebody who was just crafty and wanted to do something with construction paper might do it by hand, but but generally no. And so I don't mean crafty people are crazy, but that does it. That's a pie chart. So we're going to jump over and do a bar chart of the same thing. Bar charts are, again, something that's used with categorical data. And so we take and highlight the same stuff. And I guess I probably should have done this one first, since you already saw that when I tell it to insert a chart, this time it thought that since I wanted a pie chart last time, I want a pie chart again. But I instead wanted this to be a bar chart, okay? As you can see, there's also this kind of bar chart that's horizontal. They refer to this as a bar chart and this as a column chart. In general, these column charts are what you tend to expect to see. So in any case, though, notice that down here, it has this entry for series, and it says the series is B1 colon B5. And if you go up to column B and look at the numbers there, the numbers are actually in B2 through B5 instead of being in B1 through B5. But it was okay with handling that blank. So notice that for the x-axis thing, it went ahead and said types of housing because we were working with with A1 through A5 on that. If you needed to, if you needed to, you could have taken here. I'm going to change something. Let's see what happens. And you could have told it to select a data range for your x-axis. That's the horizontal axis that we have labeled with apartment and stuff. I'm going to go in here and highlight just the 4 things and see how it has that. Hey, weird. It shifted things down. So apparently, then that x-axis thing there, it goes ahead and knows that the top row of it is going to be your label. I guess because the fact that it was next to a blank, there was no number next to the types of housing part. So you'll learn things by kind of messing around with these a little bit. Do notice here that it wants to put the word versus on that label. You can go in there and just say types of housing and change that, okay? Now, if you were writing a report in Google Docs or any other word processor, you could just click on this, tell it to copy the chart, and then you can paste it into some other program. Here's the neat thing. Because of the way the copy this chart feature works, when you paste it, it will ask you whether you want to link it. If you leave it linked, when somebody changes this spreadsheet, it will change your word processing document so you can have live data. That's pretty cool. So, all right, anyway, though, so the next kind of chart is a Pareto chart. Pareto charts are just charts, or just bar charts where they're sorted. I think there's an example that they work out in your text where they do a Pareto chart, and they have it with a bar instead of a column. So let's go ahead and do that. But you can see what it does as a column chart. And I think, nope, okay. So the thing I'm going to have to do here is to highlight my stuff, and I'm not going to go to insert immediately. With a Pareto chart, you want to have your data sorted. So it will either go from small to large or large to small, depending on what the context is, okay? So I'm going to highlight the stuff. I'm going to go up to data. It would be in the same place in Excel. I'm going to tell it to sort range. The sort function is a little bit different. Yeah, is a little bit different from within Excel. Just different menuing, but you have to figure it out. So if you notice, it says here that the options are to sort the range by column A, either forward or backwards. We don't want that. We want to sort it by column B. So I'll say advanced range sorting options. I need to tell it that the data has a header row, and that's the class, as you can see there. And then from A1 to B1, so add another sort column. So I don't want to do by class, I want to do it by items sold. And now I'll sort it, and you'll notice now it goes small number to large number. If you can't, hang on just a second. I want to zoom that, and the zoom, yeah, so because I know it's probably unreadable. So it is now sorted from smallest to largest. I could also have done it from largest to smallest. So let's, as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that. So sort the range, advanced options, header row. We're going to sort it by items sold. Z to A will go large to small and does that. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and make this a little bit smaller so that you can see the chart when it comes up. I highlight stuff, insert chart. This should be feeling pretty repetitive because it's always just insert chart, and then you mess with options. Notice that because the first thing I did was a pie chart, it thinks I'm obsessed with pie charts. So it's going to try to make everything a pie chart. But notice how it gets everything categorized and stuff. I'm just super impressed with that. Let's do that this time with the bar chart, okay? And so notice how it goes ahead and labels the teachers, and then it has the items sold and the layout and stuff. Sometimes the defaults aren't what you want, but they really are surprising me how often they are. Okay. So the next bit that we're going to do here is comparisons. So this chart that we've got here had I really just took the housing data that we had in the pie charts, and I just added another column to it and said maybe this is men's housing versus women's housing, and it's all fake data. Don't try to read anything into it, okay? But let's go ahead and make it bigger here. So the thing that we've got here, yeah, I should have bolded those. I kind of like to have them underlined. So the thing I'll do there is to just highlight those. I have 2 columns of data, and I want to insert a chart, and I should have made the view a little bit smaller before I did that. So let's make that a little bit smaller. And you'll notice that it defaulted to the same kind of chart that I did in the previous example. And so I'm going to drag that down just a little bit there. That's not the kind that I want. I want to actually have a column chart here. Boom. And now I can get a comparison between these. And so, you know, this particular thing, it looks like there was more women in residence halls and more men in apartments. Yeah, made up data, you know. So then I want to show you another option on this, because often, you know, as faculty here, we will frequently get stuff where Dave Dobson has done all kinds of neat things with charts and graphs to show us how things have sussed out with this or that. And most of these charts and graphs aren't that hard to do. So not that Dave's not cool, but we're going along here with this column chart, and there should be an option about stacking somewhere. So column chart, let's look at our pictures here and see if any of them, aha, here we go. Instead of the column chart we've got, we can do a stacked column chart like that, okay? So this allows you to actually look at the total number of people that are in the different kinds of housing. And then it allows you at the same time to see the proportion of women in the residence halls is higher than men in the residence halls and stuff like that. There is also an option with stacked column charts that, see, this is referred to as a 100% stacked column chart. So what that does is to make all of the stuff just out of the 100%, and then you can just see the proportions easier, okay? It doesn't really give you two pieces of information at the same time like the other does. So I kind of like that better. Anyway, you can also, I'm sure, mess with the colors and so forth and do all kinds of neat stuff. But anyway, that's that. So the next one here is about something called a histogram. Okay, so a histogram is a kind of bar chart, but with numerical data. So the thing that we've got here is a histogram of 3D TV prices. And the data has numbers running from $1,500 to $2,000. Now, if you look at the bar charts that we had previously, excuse me. If you look at the bar charts we had previously, they were kind of spaced out, and you had as your x-axis down there these labels on it. Now we've got numbers on the x-axis, so that makes things different, and it crowds the bars up on each other. It's just what people tend to do with histograms. All right, so we're going to try to reproduce that. If you can hear a horrible howling in the background, you probably can't, but I'm in Frank Science, and there's a wind that runs through some bars here, and it makes this really weird whistling sound. So, okay, so as you can see, I've got just those prices there, and we could go ahead and sort those prices, but we don't need to for this. Okay, I'm going to change the view so that we can see all the data at once. I'm going to highlight this data. Okay, and you can say it with me now. Insert chart. Boom. It knew I wanted a histogram. I cannot explain that. I don't know how it knew that I would want a histogram. I was expecting to have to do a lot more work with this, but it went, oh, you got a bunch of data there, you probably want a histogram. And it just jumped to it. And it even labeled it right. So my mind is blown. All right, so with regard to the histograms, you can customize and maybe have things broken up a little bit differently, but I don't know. I'm gonna just leave it at that. So the next bit is something called a frequency polygram. And if you're seeing this graph there, you are probably just saying, that looks to me like a line graph, Ben. Yes, it looks like a line graph to me as well. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and I'll show you the work that I did getting to it. So this is the same data that we're going to use for an example in class out of 2.1 of frequency distributions. And so what I want you to see here is that I took that data that we have and I went ahead and sorted it. So it's all in order here. And then I went ahead and produced the midpoints of the classes. We'll do that in class. So, you know, but it did the midpoints of the classes. And the way you do that is you have to know the upper and lower ends of the classes and you average them. And these turned out to be 149.5 and so on and so forth. So then I forget what I did next here. Oh, right. So the thing that I went ahead and did next was I couldn't do my counts very easily. So I looked at these and said, I need to go 1500 to 1599. Notice what happens when I do that is nothing. Okay, I expected that to try to uh, do the actual subtraction. If you've got numbers that it's trying to do an operation on them, you can put a tick mark, that's a single quote, before it, and it will prevent them from doing that. But I wanted to go ahead and I wonder if this will know how to finish the process. Sometimes it can complete. Nope. All right. So sometimes it knows how to complete your actions for you and can save you a little bit of effort, but this time it did not. And so 1900 to 1990. Okay, so those are the classes there. And like I said, the midpoints, you're just averaging those numbers. We want those midpoints for something that we're going to do here in a second. I don't remember why I have those in there, but so because I don't think I need them, I am going to just go ahead and delete that column. And I'm going to take those numbers and I am going to insert a chart, but the chart that I want to insert this time is going to be a line graph. And so I'm inserting the chart. And of course, it comes up with something that's not what I want. It's a column chart, but I'm going to tell it to do a line graph. And those are not very good. That's not what I need. So, oh, right. Duh. Because I did this the wrong way. Forgive me, folks. I needed to just highlight those numbers and then insert a chart and then make it a line graph like so. And now that looks pretty close to a straight line. It's a little bumpy, but and then the thing that I want to do is to add an x-axis for it. And I don't want to do that yet because I've got my chart covering my numbers. So I will move that over there and tell it that I want to edit my chart some more. Okay, I'm going to add an x-axis. I have to hit the little spreadsheet symbol, and then I can highlight those, tell it they're okay. Yep. And now it has numbers down below that correspond to those. Now, I want to do something here that's not really necessary, and I have to see whether they will let me show the dots. So I think it's under customize. Maybe it's under series. Yeah, that's looking good. So line 1, line color, line and dash size. Oh, point size. It says that it's not showing any points. So I'm going to go ahead and put like a 10 pixel points. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay. And then I'm done with my chart editor. Well, I'm almost done with my chart editor. If you notice there, it kind of cut off one of my dots, and I don't like that. So I'm going to go back here to edit my chart some more, customize it, and I think maybe it was under the series. I'm looking for something that has a maximum and a minimum. Nope. Okay, vertical axis. Vertical axis has a maximum and minimum. I want the minimum to be 0 and the maximum, can I just say 21? Yeah, that seems to have gotten it. Okay. So now you can see the whole dot there and stuff. So these frequency polygons are just using line charts in a place where you ought to be using bar charts. Go figure. Okay. But they mention it in your textbook, so I wanted to show you how to do it. So then the next bit here is dot plots. Okay. Dot plots are something that you would not actually do with a computer. I'm going to show you how to do them by hand, but then I'll show you how to actually do them on the computer, do them electronically here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And I have the same data as before. I did this time go ahead and sort the data because I want to show y'all how to do these dot plots. And the dot plots, yeah, so if you're going to go ahead and do a dot plot, you can do it without having software at hand. And people who deal with data like out in the field or something, you know, where they're doing counts of data, and there's no computer there to do it with, they would do something like this. So if I've got a salesman who's looking at all these various prices of TVs, he or she, use the inclusive, they might go ahead and just make a dot plot to help them do a representation. They don't need to use a computer to do it. What they would do here is go ahead and get your midpoints of your ranges, or I think maybe a better idea, even than doing the midpoints of those ranges, would be to go back. Where did we have those before? Right here. So I'm going to control that. And maybe I will put that right here. Okay. And then if you've got your data lined out there, you literally just go through and count. Between 1500 and 1599, I only had one of these. So I'm going to put a tick mark so it doesn't try to do operations. And I'm going to put maybe a capital O. Okay, so my capital O's will be dots. And there we got it. Then from 1600 to 1699, there's also only one of them. So I will put a tick mark and a capital O. Then from 1700 to 1799, again, just one of them. Wait a minute, are these, damn it, those were not sorted. So I am going to make the argument that I'm modeling recovering from my errors in front of you to encourage you to know how to try blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to do a quick sort of that. There might be a shortcut. Nope. Okay, so sort the range, and we're going to sort A to Z. And I shouldn't have done that because now it's putting the title down at the bottom. So I'll go ahead and do that. Data, sort range A to Z. Okay, now I can see that there were, in fact, two of them here from 1500 to 1599. So I'm going to put tick mark, capital O, space, capital O. I like to space them so that I can see them more distinctly. From 1600 to 1699, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Try that again, 5 of them. So I would put a tick mark, O, 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 O. That's a quote from Shakespeare, isn't it? O, O. There's a famous scene where somebody says O several times, and it doesn't seem, it seems, I don't get it, but it's supposed to be a really tough scene to act. So, all right, 1700 to 1799, I see 4 of those. Now, notice it will try to complete this for me, and we'll try to put a fifth one in there if I don't delete it. Okay. 1800 to 1899. I see, looks like 5 of those again. So tick mark O, 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 oop, O, O. And then 1900 to 1999, looks like there are 4 of them again. So O, tick O, 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 O. All right, so that's how I would produce a dot plot. If you need a dot plot for some reason, okay, here's how you'll go about creating it, right? So the thing that I did here was to get my count or get my numbers here, the 1500 through the 2000. Now that I think about it, I think we were supposed to do something with that on the frequency polygon, but yeah. But I got those numbers there, and then I automated this so that I could do this relatively quickly. Let me zoom in here. The zoom in doesn't actually show you the formula, but there, now you can see the formula. I said count if, and I had to tell it the range I was in. It started at A2, ended at A21. The dollar signs lock in the top and bottom. If you don't put the dollar sign in and you copy your formula to the next line, it would change it to A3 to A22. So if you put the dollar sign in, it locks it. But I say in there to count if those are less than 1500. Okay. I would, if anybody knows how to make it do less than and then let me point at something over to the side, I would really like to know, because it would make this so much easier for me. But anyway, I told it to do that for 1500, 1600, and so forth, so that you've got the increasing amount as we go along there. And then if you just go ahead and say here in this one, D5 minus D4, and then you can copy that to the next line, and it will automatically turn it into D6 minus D5, and it will count how many is in each category. Okay. So then after that, I went ahead and put in these midpoints, and those are going to be important to something we do in a second. And then there's a function that I'd never heard of that you use here. You say equals sequence E5. So what this will do is to put to your right a 1 and a 2. And on the next line, when you do this again, the sequence of E6 will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you notice I have a 1 before the E6. The 1 tells it that I want it to go across in rows, not down in columns. So anyway, then if we look here at what I've got these numbers, and I'm going to end up plotting them. So I highlight just the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stuff, and I go insert chart, and it tries to do something crazy, but instead of accepting it's crazy, we're going to choose here to go to something called scatter plot, which creates dots. And the wow, the series kind of goes crazy on me there and says H5 to H6 and so forth. Okay, I am going to try to add an x-axis to it, and I need to uncover the stuff that I've got that I want for the x-axis. I'm going to do x-axis, select the data range, and it covered the data range. Thanks. I'm going to select those midpoints, tell it it's okay. And now if we can see the chart again, see the chart again, it's not a perfect chart. For one thing, it has these dots up at the top that are meaningless. And so I'm going to go up to the top and tell it to just delete those. The other thing that it has that I don't like is that it cuts off my dots up the top. So if you remember on the customize thing, we can go to the vertical axis and tell it that we want a maximum value of 6 instead of 5. And that will make that a little bit better. But then notice it's not doing the ones there. Huh. Okay, I'm going to go back to my setup here where I said H5 to H9 and stuff like that. And it looks as though did I? Nope. It looks as though I need to add maybe the G5 to G9. That's what it was. So apparently I just didn't highlight all the numbers there. So now it's got those. I don't like that they're all different colors. I feel like I ought to be able to fix that. Chart border color, background color, nope. Series, circles, apply to all series. I don't see how to make the color all the same. I would prefer if the colors were all the same, but I can't make it do that. So if you know how to do it, share with me, that'd be great. So, all right. Then the next thing we do, and I think this is the last thing, is a stem and leaf plot, okay? And so the stem and leaf plot, the thing that you're doing is that you've got a bunch of data where the last couple of digits are all that varies in the data. And you're wanting to do something where you basically get a super quick and dirty sort of a bar chart out of this. And it's even a little bit, it feels to me like it's even a little bit more primitive than doing the dot plot that I did the O's with earlier. So here's what it's going to look like at the end. And I'm going to go ahead and just delete this. And we will, as a matter of fact, I'm going to delete the rows or delete the columns. Okay, so that will kind of eliminates things. So what I'm going to do here is to spot that the salaries that I have are all having zeros in the last two digits. So what I'm going to think about is that the hundreds digit is the leaf that comes off of a stem of 515 or 455 or something like that. So I'm going to produce this stem and leaf plot here. And I'm going to assign the stem to be the thousands of dollars, and then the leaf to be the hundreds of dollars. Okay. So looking at that data there, yeah, there's quite, oh, why would you do that? Okay, there's quite a bit of numbers there. I'm actually going to reduce this further until we can see all of it on the screen at once. Okay, I know you can't read any of that, but I'm going to take and highlight those numbers and put them into order. So data sort A to Z. Okay, so now it's smallest to largest. I'm going to put this back up to like 100% or something here. And no, don't try that. Okay. And so I can see that the smallest thing we've got is $40,000. Okay. And I'm just going to run down through here. 41, 42. That's super boring, right? You don't want to have to do all that typing. It goes up to 51 at the largest. Quit trying to go back. Once I've got three numbers in there that are counting up, I should be able to just yank it down and it will know how to increase. We don't need anything past 51, so we'll stop there, okay? And then on this 40 through 51, I am going to put a vertical line to the right of it. Oh, I feel like that ought to be a little bit more of a vertical line. Yeah, okay. Boom. Now I'm going to do the leaf portion. So what I do when typing this, and I should maybe do it bigger so that you can see, I'm going to put a tick mark, an apostrophe, and that tells it that it should interpret these numbers as though they were letters, okay? And I see 407. I'll put space so it's easier to see these apart. 409, okay? And that's all the stuff in the 40s. So I hit enter. You see that it left justifies it because that's what it does with letters. Now in the 42s, I put a apostrophe. There's a 427, there's a 429, and that's it for the 42s. In the 43s, there's a 430 and a 432. In the 44s, there is a 44.2, 44.3, a 44.5. Okay. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit there. In the 45s, there is a 450. There is a 453. There is a 455 and a 458. In the 46s, now we run into the problem that my screen doesn't show me everything all at once, but the 46s, we have a 461, a 463, another 463, a 464, a 467, and another 467. Okay. And then in the 47s, we have a 477, a 479, and that's it. In the 48s, we have a 480, a 482, a 483, a 486, and that's it. All right, in the 49s, we just have a 0. In the 50s, we have a 50 and a 500, 507, and that's it. And then finally, in the 51s, we have just a 5. Okay. So making this small enough that you can, well, I guess I didn't need to make it smaller. I just needed to scroll up. So this is a representation of all those numbers. And it basically fulfills the function of a bar chart. If you didn't have your numbers sorted over to the left, you could still do this and you'd have an unsorted stem and leaf. Yeah. If you're going, oh man, I wish that they had the stem and leaf automated because I don't want to have to do this by hand. Yeah, me too. Nobody, if you've got bar charts, nobody ever bothers with the stem and leaf. So stem and leaf would be for somebody like me who's old and maybe is doing grading and trying to get just a quick approximation of what a bunch of grades looks like. So when I was a graduate student at a large school, we would have 300 people taking the final exam across multiple different classes. And we didn't want to have to enter all the data into software or something in order to do a chart. So we just produced one of these stem and leaf charts and got kind of a rough look as to what the data looked like. So that's really the motivation there. You'll see that there are more advanced stem and leaf plots where they break maybe the 40 up into, or like the 46. You know, if you've got one of them that's really wide, you are really a long column, you might start breaking it up into the 40s that are the lower half and the 40s that are the upper half or something like that. But yeah, stem and leaf are not something to worry about a whole bunch, other than to be able to look at them and say things like, oh, looks like the 46 was the 46,000s was the most common sort of salary range to be in. Or to spot that it looks like there are not many scores down towards 51 or 40. You know, it's just a rough approximation thing. Okay. I cannot imagine that you'll ever have to put a stem and leaf plot into a paper to show somebody. But, yeah. All right. Anyway, this was just a quick a rundown of how to do a bunch of different graphs with Sheets. And the main thing to see is, damn, Sheets does it for you, right? So, all right, let you go. See you in class.